Good evening, folks. You're watching That's Dota. This is a Solocast. My name's Mike, and I'm going to be casting this random draft game between 5 of the secret lads that we cast quite often, and 5 people that we don't cast very often because these have been randomly assigned. It's going to be a random draft game, so we're not going to know the pool of heroes they're choosing from, but we can at least make some analysis afterwards. So I'm going to let the teams pick their heroes up, just make a few comments as they go through. The Radiant picking out their 2 support heroes first, so a Chen and a Crystal Maiden, a really powerful combo there. But the Dire, I really like the looks of this. We've got a Death Prophet mid, probably going to be going to the gym, an Omni Knight, who we don't see enough of by half, so super excited about that, and a Doom, who really flexible hero, seeing a lot of play in the metagame right now in the pro level, and a lot of interesting stuff that you can do with a hero like that and a hero like Omni Knight. And they round off their draft with a Clockwork and a Mirana, so this is going to be a really exciting draft from the Dire team or the Radiant team? I've got these mixed up because of the layout of the page. Oh dear. So we're actually going to see not a Death Prophet Jim, I think, because that's going to be the Radiant team, but Clockwork, Mirana, Doom, Death Prophet, and an Omni Knight to round it off. What a draft. Absolutely looking forward to this team. Meanwhile, this is looking like a Shadow Shamer mid. Necrolite and Timbersaw a little bit light on the carry, but what a punchy team from both sides here. Let's introduce them. Let's set ourselves up here to do just that. So, on the Dire team, we have the Secret Boys. We have Ingi on his Crystal Maiden. Dr. Funtimes will be taking up the Necrophos in this game. The J-Meister on his Tab Q signature Chen, or soon to be signature anyway. Serial Misandrist will be on the Shadow Shaman, I think going mid, and Jim West Desperado will be on his off-lane Timbersaw. I love Jim's Timbersaw, so we're looking forward to that. On the Radiant team, the nemesis of Timbersaw to some extent, Nemethe on the Clockwork. We've got, I can't read that name because he's moving, Gilrath on the Doom. We've got Paradox on the Omni Knight. He's walking to lane with the Doom. Maybe Ragnar following with him on the Mirana. So maybe a support Doom and a farming Mirana in the lane. And Gladys Square X4 on the mid Death Prophet. We're probably just going to call her Gladys. So an interesting laning combo. Looks like Doom's actually going to be going to the jungle, which makes a little bit more sense to me. So a Mirana Omni Knight safe lane. A little bit of an iffy lane here. It's certainly not much kill potential. Omni Knight obviously a great babysitter, but not able to put up too much harass. Now fortunately they're against the solo lane Timbersaw, so the matchup maybe made a bit more even, but Timbersaw can definitely get in there and dish out some pain. Repel is going to be a must for this Omni Knight, and he's gone for Purify first, so we'll have to see how that skill build develops. Meanwhile on the top lane, Ingi and Dr. Funtimes moving towards lane. The J-Meister is going to be defensively jungling nearby, so a sort of semi-tri-lane coming out there. And this mid-lane matchup, Death Prophet a little bit late to lane, but Death Prophet against the Shadow Shaman, so a rather unusual mid-matchup. You don't see these 2 heroes faced off against each other all too often. We'll have to see how this works out. Shadow Shaman skilling up Ether Shock early on. And that's a great boost for Doom at the start as well, getting a DD rune to kick off his jungling with. He's actually going to devour the, I can't remember their name, it's a Satire I think, and that's going to be great if he wants to spam out that nuke and even go to lane with it.
Oh no.
So these lanes looking fine for now. A little bit of a danger for Dr. Funtimes on this top lane, depending on what Clockwork goes in terms of his build. He's gone Rocket Flare first, and depending on whether he can get up close enough, there isn't really much disable around here, unless Ingi's around, so Clockwork potentially able to get a solo kill on this Necrophos if he's not too careful, but right now Ingi and Dejay on the Chen happy to just passively farm, and they're going to get some good levels out of this. Meanwhile on the bot lane, Doom's going to be taking up most of the jungle, so that might mean that this safe lane doesn't go out as well for Ragnar and Paradox, especially with Doom actually farming the pull camp here. So against this Timbersaw with the lane already fairly pushed up, Timbersaw's going to be doing just fine in this lane. I'm not sure how this is going to work out for Mirana in the long run. A bit of a speculative arrow out there. Meanwhile on the top lane, the complete opposite happening here. Ingi already making a big pull, denying that wave of experience to the Clockwork, and he just really can't do anything. He has got cogs now, but Ingi's got Crystal Nova skilled up, so it's unlikely he's going to be able to get into range to actually do much with that. Certainly not if they've got vision up. So lane's looking good for the Dire right now.
I know.
The one thing that we do want to look at both of these lineups is pushing's been more of a theme of this patch at all levels really. I mean, meta game tends to filter down from the top levels, but you can definitely have the feeling of a push-oriented lineup from both teams here. And the problem is that there are many different ways to run this tactic, and we're seeing teams, or they might be going in on Clockwork here. Has he got Frostbite up? He does. Not close enough to get it off, and the Tab Q Brigade has come in a little bit late as well, so they're not going to get that kill. They do force him out of lane though, which is productive at the very least, but actually Dr. Funtimes, has he got levels in? No, so no Sada Story yet, and a bit low. He really needs to pop that salve, I think, to stay in lane, otherwise these rocket flares are going to start doing some serious damage. But we're seeing two very different push lineups here. The Mirana, the Death Prophet, the Doom, these heroes are still good in the mid to late game, and they get pretty scary with farm or levels. On the other hand, other than the Timbersaw, maybe the Necrophos, we're not really seeing a huge amount of late game presence from the Dire. So two very different flavors of push lineup coming out here, and I feel like they're going to need to finish this earlier if they want to make the most out of their lineup. However, in terms of last hitting, Mirana's doing just fine in this bot lane here. Timbersaw maybe pressured a little bit out of lane, but he's still soaking up the experience, already level 4.5. In terms of the other lanes, the junglers, Doom really getting a lot out of this jungle. I feel like the double damage room there get him off to an amazing start. Looks like he's maybe even going Midas. Straight Gloves of Haste, 800 gold up on him. Meanwhile, the junglers for the Dire team, Dejay doing okay on 13 last hits. Ingi mostly been getting out off the pulls, but still a respectable 3.5 levels. And that's also been creating space for Dr. Funtimes, who's level 4.5 and actually doing alright for last hits, actually out-CSing the Clockwork just marginally. This mid lane, again, kind of a wash. It'll be interesting to see what happens when both mids get their level 6. A really weird push versus push mid lane matchup. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here. The difference is that Shadow Shaman has the potential to rotate and have a bit more impact on the lanes than Death Prophet. Death Prophet really wants to push towers at the early levels at the very least. So we'll have to see what direction the two mids want to take this. But as I said, the real danger here is Jim just eating an arrow on the edge here. I think he's going to be just fine. He's got the reactive armor up. Purify a little bit off the mark there. Meanwhile, have they caught out Clockwork here? They've got him a little bit surrounded, but I don't know if they know he's there. Yep, Tab Q not coming in just yet, so Jay's going to keep on farming, and he's doing fine, working his way towards a mechanism. So the worry for the Dire team is that this looks like a push lineup, but it doesn't have to be a push lineup. Doom's getting farm, Mirana's getting farm, they're doing just fine, and finally remembering to switch the Bassi ring off, but Mirana's sitting on 1,000 gold right now, and Doom not far off his Midas either, so this could become a very scary late game for the Dire team. And I think a lot of it's going to hinge on Shadow Shaman now. He's got his ward, so what I'd like to see is maybe some rotations to those lanes to start pushing those towers down. Necrolite could easily swap out with Shadow Shaman mid and maybe just try and knock down that T1 at top. But either way, they need to start applying pressure somewhere, because right now, the Radiant are enjoying this general lack of pressure, even in lanes that they're not particularly winning, like top lane. Clockwork's almost level 6, and when he's got that level 6, he can start rotating. What's Dejay going to do if he gets hooked and cogged? This battery assault's going to tear through him, so a little bit tense now for both teams. We're going to have to see who makes the first move and who starts ending the laning phase, and that might just be about now, because Jim, he's got arrowed, Starfold coming down, Purify almost finishing it off, but the leap secures the kill. Mirana, she's going to get away just fine, and Shadow Shaman a little bit too late to save his teammate. Unfortunate there. Jim was playing it safe, but the arrow came in at just the right angle, and great follow-up from the Omni Knight as well. Actually, a little bit of a point in a degen aura. Not making a huge impact, but I like the fact that he's thinking along those lines. They wanted to turn this into a kill lane. They didn't want to just stand by idly. Serial Misandrist coming in with an Invis rune. He could get a perfect ward block here. Doesn't quite manage it. Needs the shackle. Isn't going to get it. Doesn't manage to micro the wards either. Very unfortunate at the mid lane there. And he's dropped the wards in a really awkward position as well. Not going to be able to ride any pushing power on this tower. And meanwhile, Doom, he's got a Midas. So, XP going the way of the Radiant, Gold going the way of the Radiant, but they're about to accelerate even faster, and it looks like they might be buying 2 mechs, which is extremely unfortunate. Necrophos with the headdress, DJ Meister with the headdress as well. Oh, look at this stack being farmed up from DJ here. He's going to be getting a lot of gold from that. He's got boots up as well. He's going to have his buckler finished soon too. But that's going to be an expensive mistake if they both try and finish that mechanism. Could help, I guess, if they want to do split pushing in 2 lanes, but maybe this is actually what this team wants to do. Again, it's a bit of a difficult decision to make with the push here. When you've got a Chen on your team, you can basically just grab a couple of creeps and just start pushing within 3 or 4 minutes. But the alternative is to try and farm up a mech, and it's alright if you've got the late game, but I'm just a bit concerned for that late game right now. Mirana treads up now, 900 gold. Doom getting a bit low here, but I think he's going to be just fine. Looks like he might be thinking about a Vanguard. I'm not sure if he started with that stout shield. Another arrow flying out from Mirana, wide of the mark this time. Jim won't get caught out twice, it looks like.
Radiant's top tower
So both sides happy to just be farming for now. Wards have just come up again on Shadow Shaman, but Clockwork is positioned for a hook. No vision here. Way off the mark there. Nice attempt, but looks like they would have benefited from maybe a ward on the high ground here. Just to give him that little bit of extra vision. Meanwhile, Jim looking for a wraparound of his own. Omniite and Mirana, not sure they know whether he's in the lane or not yet. And he can burst down someone like the Mirana pretty quickly, but if Omniite gets a Purify off at close range, that's going to burn right through his armor. Mirana, she's pushed up. He needs a rotation from someone else on his team. He's going to go in. Chakram comes out. Whirling Death off the mark. Timber Chain right through Omniite, but he needs to get off. It was a nice attempt by Jim there, but just good use of the leap there from Mirana.
Blessings.
Are they thinking about turning this around, actually? Jim, he's a little low on mana. No, they're going to be just fine. So Mirana up to 1,300 gold. Not sure where she's going with this. Looks like she's going to want to finish off that killer at some point. And Jim working his way towards Arcanes. Dr. Funtime's still working his way towards the mech. And Chen looks like he might have noticed. He's gone to Arcanes and skipped the buckler, so perhaps they figured out, and Necrophos is going to finish off the mech. Meanwhile, Clockwork, Moonlight shadowed up, he sees the Chen. He wants to do the cogs without using the hook shot, but I'm not sure this is a good idea. Meanwhile, at bot lane, an Invis rune up Shadow Shaman. Death Prophet's coming as well. She's popped her up, but she's taking a huge amount of damage already. Dr. Funtimes, he doesn't have his ult up. He was silenced. Now it's back up again. If he can get that up on Death Prophet, that's a kill for sure, but he doesn't want to turn around because of the ghosts. He needs to do this now. This could easily kill her, and if the ghosts come back, they won't get anything out of this. Crystal Nova drop. Chen coming around from behind. He drops the scythe, but Clockwork gets the cogs off. Dr. Funtime's in a lot of trouble. Frostbite comes out. They just kill him before the battery assault. And the Chen heal comes out. Meanwhile at bot lane, looks like nothing came of that Invis rune up. I believe Serial Misandrist had an Invis and was looking at it. Oh, but a beautiful ward trap under the tower from the Doom. Chakram follows it up. The Shackle's cancelled by the arrow. Great save from Mirana. Jim just applying a little bit of pressure there, but a great turnaround up top. Really big for the Radiant there. A couple of kills, and Jay is looking pretty fat right now. 64 last hits. Headdress, Arcanes, Bastion, 900 gold. This is where you want your Chen to be, and crucially he's got the Hand of God as well, so I think an Aghanims for him would be just lovely. Combining that with the mechanism now up on Necrophos, so they've got a bit more push coming out now. Oh, Hex up on the Doom. Absolutely caught out there. The arrow does cancel the shackles, but it's not enough. This is exactly the kind of rotations they wanted. Ingi getting involved as well. Great play from the Radiant here. From the Dire, rather. And finally looking like they want to force fights. Not taking towers, which is still a concern, but at least beginning to apply a little bit of pressure and disrupting that farm. 3 Radiant heroes now at the bot lane looking to contest this. The ult up in just a few seconds for the Death Prophet, but... Oh, arrow coming out. He just dodging it. Nova, Frostbite. Does he want to come in on this? Silence on 3, goes to pop now as well. Starfall's going to clip a couple. Omni Knight, he wants that Purify. It's not worth it. He's going to get hexed up. The Crypt Swarm comes in. Body blocks the Shadow Shaman. Jim coming in for the Whirling Death. Can he get a kill here, or is he going to kill himself? One more right click is going to take down the Mirana, but it will be at the cost of his own life. A 2-for-1 trade. Unfortunate to lose the Shadow Shaman there, but they do at least get the Mirana, and she's a big late game concern for them. So these ghosts are almost spent. They're not going to provide much damage to this tower. And in fact, with Necrolite here as well, they can push this back quite capably. So a lot of these last hit charts are a bit distorted by the fact that Doom and Chen were jungling, but Doom looking pretty fat right now. He's got phase boots and he's working towards a Shadow Blade, and with this Midas as well, he is soon going to be an extremely high level, high impact character. He's basically level 10 now.
Dire's top tower
Mirana, who's been farming
attack.
normally in lane, is only 8.5. Looks like she's going towards a Desolator, which is great against the likes of Timbersaw, but I think it's Doom who's going to become the serious game changer later on. And if you look at the Radiant team, you're beginning to see the weakness of their draft, because the top of their last hits charts is Shadow Shaman and Necrolite, and this is fine, but Shadow Shaman and Necrolite are not really going to be heavy hitters here. They don't really need to be farming, they need to be applying pressure to towers, but it's difficult to do that when there's so much nuke damage to push into. So we're going to have to see how they want to deal with this. Looks like Chen well on his way to an Aghanims now, and is this a Midas coming out from Ingi? A cheeky Crystal Maiden Midas, I really hope it is. Because if this does go late game, they're going to need hexes and big items like this to have that impact. Jim now finishes up his arcanes. It looks like he's planning a bit of a shenanigans around here. Chakram comes out, Hex as well, Crystal Nova, Frostbite, Warge Trap, the Purify comes out, but no way is she getting out alive. Great gank, they blow a lot of items on that. Oh, the hook shot, he misses. Shackle's going to come out as well. Clockwork goes down, Ingi finishes it off with a celebratory ult, and the wards this time, no mistaking from Serial Misandrist, right on target. They're going to take down this tower. A great few minutes of team fight from the Dire team. Omni Knight forced to push off. I don't think they want to follow this up for too long. They've taken that tower. There's not really a need to follow this up. Purify comes out, does a lot of damage to Jim, but he's still diving this. Omni Knight, I like this. Repels up, walks back in. Come at me, bro style. But okay, they want to apply pressure here, which is excellent. They don't have the wards up, but they can still force fights. But they've got the shackles out. Can they follow it up? Timber Chain comes in, Chakram comes out. That's how you nuke them down. Hanging around a little bit too long there. And meanwhile at mid, the Chen army is taking down this mid tower. They have lost a tower up top, and Doom is still solo pushing this lane. And he's got the Shadow Blade finished. He is farming, but this is great aggression from the Dire team. They get 2 towers, 3 towers really for 1.5, and if they can TP up, they can even contest this. They are 2 TPs to top lane now. Doom, he's phased and running away, but this is still a win from them, and Blink Dagger up on the Shadow Shaman, which is going to make these kinds of escapes even harder now. So I like this aggression coming out from the Radiant team. 1 T2 tower down. The Dire team, sorry. I don't know why I'm making this mistake so often in this cast. 1 T2 tower down, 2 T1 towers down, and only at the expense of 1 tower for themselves, so exactly the kind of push they wanted. Forcing rotations from these heroes that seem to want to be farming. Let's take a look at the supports on both teams now. It's a little bit hard to gauge who the supports are for the Radiant, but we know that Omni Knight is, so he's got his Arcanes up and a Soul Ring, which is a lovely build for Omni Knight. He can basically spam his spells all day long. And he's going to be working into a mech now, but the lack of the mech for them has really hurt them in the last few fights. The Purify is only single target, and like most Omni Knights, he's a little bit too eager to use it as an offensive spell. So, Ingi gets caught out by the arrow, and they follow it up with a hook shot. Great combo there. He has got the cogs, but he doesn't want to use it. He just finishes off with the Battery Assault. Hand of God coming out a little bit late. They're going to try and use Midnight Shadow to escape, and it looks like they're going to manage it. No vision coming out from Jim West, so I think they need to start carrying Dust, especially when they notice that Doom's got the Shadow Blade. I don't think they've noticed yet, but it's definitely going to become a problem for them in those later team fights. Especially when you've got the great initiation like Serial Misandrist, you want to be able to take advantage of that by being able to blink in and have that
Radiant's
impact. And the
top tower
Midas is up
under
on
attack.
Crystal Maiden. Ingi, I'm so proud. I'm always proud of Ingi. Treads up on Necrolite, and I like the fact that they decided to put the mechanism on him, because Necrolite is going to be a key tank for them, besides the Timbersaw. Ooh, bit of an unfortunate arrow from the Mirana there. Wards
Dire's bottom
going to work on
is
this
under
tower,
attack.
already at half health. Can they get rid of the rest? They've got the Ghost on
Dire's
Death
bottom
Prophet,
tower has fallen.
but meanwhile Doom's still solo pushing down towers. 2k gold and the Shadow Blade now as well.
Radiant's
They do
middle
get the
tower
mid
has
T2,
fallen.
but in exchange for a T1 bot. And this T1, remember, this is key for contesting Roshan, so
Dire's bottom tower is
applying
under
pressure to this
attack.
top T2. Doesn't have phase boots yet. Have they got this? They could use Scythe to make time for another TP, but they decide not to. Looks like Clockwork in the meantime went down at bot to Jim West on the Timbersaw, so Timbersaw actually getting quite close to that Bloodstone, getting a lot of kills in these latest team fights, even against tanky heroes like Clockwork, so really great work from Jim, and 2 lanes now exposed all the way up to T3s, and the mid T1's still standing for the Dire, so a really great position in terms of map control. This could be a problem though. Are they thinking of Roshing? No, okay, just taking a detour via their secret shop, that's absolutely fine. So Doom spots out the rotation with his Shadow Blade, but nothing to worry about yet. Doom making good use of his time to farm, but his attempt at split pushing, I feel, is costing the team a lot of towers and team fights, because if he's at that T1, maybe they think about dooming someone like the Shadow Shaman or the Necrolite and actually going in. So far, I don't think I've seen a single hero be doomed by him, and he's been missing a lot of these team fights because he's obsessed with pushing towers, and they're making bad trades. They're making
Dire's
T1
middle
trades for
tower is
T2
under
trades,
attack.
and giving up minor kills on the team fights on the side, and that's really not what you want. Oh, Clockwork. They see him here. Timbersaw and a Crystal Maiden. They could do a lot of damage. Frostbite comes out. Hex up as well. Chakram comes in. They need something to finish him off. Whirling Death. Absolutely great gank there. Brilliant exploitation of that ward coverage, and Clockwork going down again. 0, 4 and 1. Really not having the impact he wants to have. And now with Aghanim's up on Chen, this is a really fearsome pushing lineup. This 4-man is extremely terrifying, and yes, Death Prophet's ult is really great for pushing, but she's got no tank, 5 armor and 900 HP. Yes, Mirana is a terrifying late game carry, but she struggled to finish her Desolator, just picking up 1 Mithril Hammer in the last, it feels like, almost 10 minutes.
Dire's top tower is under
So
attack.
they're going to try and take this mid T1, but I honestly think that if the Dire come in with a good team fight here, they could take both of these heroes. Do they have vision for the Midnight Shadow? That's the question. They need to kill Ragnar before he can pop it. She leaps out. She's still got Midnight Shadow. Doesn't want to pop it yet. Will pop it now in order to save the Death Prophet. Arrow comes in. It's eaten by a Chen creep. And the Omni Knight ult comes out. Hand of God to follow as well. They keep revealing themselves. They don't want to do this. Sentry Ward goes down, but Repel comes out. Dust is going to just clip Death Prophet. Can they kill her before the ghosts end? They're going to start coming back to her and healing her. The Scythe comes out, but too much heal from the ghosts. They wasted too much time before popping that vision there. Oh, but Jim, he wants Death Prophet now. No ult from her. Ingi with the big ult. Silence will cancel it, but it won't cancel the shackles. And Jim, the big bad Timbersaw, finishing him off with a punch to the face. And I love the Sentry Ward drop down at the end, just in case someone else was lurking around. The Radiant have really taken bad fights in the last, and still this Doom not present in that team fight. This Doom, it's level 2, it might as well be level 1,000,000. He's got 4.5k gold. I feel like he's probably going Radiant or something crazy like that, but who cares? He hasn't been in any of these team fights, just walking away from Clockwork there. Still no use of Doom, finally uses it on Necrophos, but he's just going to walk it off by the looks of it. Chakram comes out. Shadow Blade has been deployed. I don't know if they saw him use it. He might get a finish him off. The arrow comes in. It's just going to be wide of the mark. Oh, they've dusted him now. He's in big trouble. He might get Dr. Funtimes, but he's not even going to get that. Chakram comes out. Dr. Funtimes is going to survive the mech. Healing him up. Oh, Blink Shackles, just brilliant play from these two supports here. The mid Shadow Shaman absolutely having so much impact with the Blink, following up with the Crystal Maiden's nukes. Just great play, and the flames come out from Omni Knight, but to call this a noob team mistakes, I mean, yes, Doom hasn't been present in these team fights, but this has been some decisive play in the last 10 minutes from the Dire team. Really great, aggressive pairing up of heroes, making the most of their mid-game presence, and just taking the Radiant to task. They're going to take this T3 basically uncontested. Doom down, no Midnight Shadow. Death Prophet's ghosts are up, but she can't come in, she'll just melt.
Radiant's bottom barracks are under attack.
Hookshot comes in, cogs on 2. They get the silence out as well. Ghost deployed. This is nice work. This could cost them a lot. Midnight Shadow comes out, but the Clockwork just melts to the nukes coming out. Timbersaw hooking in as well. He's going to finish off the Death Prophet. Can they get more? The J-Meister dodging the Starfall on huge low health. Doom's coming in, 1 hit, 2 hit, takes down the Chen, but now he's surrounded by 3 very angry Radiant heroes. Shackles to follow. Serial Messenger's dropping very low. He is going to die. Kill streak ended for the Mirana, but it doesn't matter. These heroes, they're finishing off the racks. They're going to take a lane, and now the Radiant are up against Mega Creeps. Doom dying twice in the last few minutes, and a seriously dire situation for the Radiant.
Bottom barracks has fallen.
Out of my way!
Oof, what a team fight. Just great reactions from the disabling heroes on the teams, on the Dire team here. A great hook from Clockwork, and I liked the follow-up from the Death Prophet Ghosts, but they didn't have enough tank. There was no one to distract them. They needed the Doom to come in. Doom has bought 2 ultimate orbs now with his money, and he could have a mech finished up, he could have a Vanguard even, just something to soak up this damage while the other heroes get their nukes off. This Omni Knight, he's been doing okay. The repels have been coming out when it needs to be, and a couple of nice uses of the ult, but I really feel like the lack of... oh boy. The lack of tank in these team fights is just costing the Radiant so much. Desolator now upon Mirana. She's doing her best to farm up, but
Boom! There it goes.
is it going to be enough? Is the question. All T2s standing. Was that an arrow? I think that was. They do see the Timbersaw here, but ooh, Desolator doing a fair bit of damage. Timberchain's not going to latch, but he's just going to walk it off. Jim's got a Bloodstone now as well, so he's feeling absolutely happy as Timbersaw. He's basically as good as he's going to get. Let's see how E's Midas is doing. Aghanim's up already on E. This is why you get a Midas on Crystal Maiden. Hopefully, maybe going to go for some more control next. Maybe even a Linken's would be nice here to be able to use on other team members. And also enable her to get her ult off a bit more. These silences are actually, I suppose the Death Prophet silence is AoE, so not going to be as big a deal. Maybe a BKB would be better for her. Blink Hex. Oh, wards drop. That's a bit unfortunate. Dust comes out, but it's too late. They're already away. I don't think they need the wards particularly to push this, though. They've got a nice army of Chen creeps here. They've got the damage coming out from Timbersaw and Necrolite. Doom does look like he wants to fight now, though, thankfully. 1900 HP. Still not much armor, though, and no bonus magic resistance. I feel like he could really do with some more tanking items, but just doesn't seem interested, so... Ingy getting his value from that Midas there. Silence going to come out onto a couple. Purify, it's just not enough. These Chen creeps are so tanky. Blink Hex again, just no follow-up. They need to be careful that they don't overcommit here. Clockwork comes in on Timbersaw, not the best person to hook, and he just instantly gets melted. Doom coming out on Necrolite through the BKB, combined with the Ghosts and the Omni Knight ult, they're actually going to do a huge amount of damage. Ingy's going to drop Timbersaw very low as well. Necrophos rather, he's taking a lot of damage from this ult. He's going to go down. Timbersaw sacrificing himself to make sure the rest of the team get out by the looks of it. Can he tank through this? Doom isn't up. Doom himself is pretty slow, and there's no Mirana to give the follow-up. Actually, they've managed to clock to shackle Paradox here on the Omni Knight. Can they kill him off? Repel's going to come in, but that means there's no Repel available for Gilrath on the Doom. He's taking so much magic damage from these nukes. Timberchain a little bit off the mark, but the right clicks from the Shadow Shaman. Look at this. Carry, right-click Shadow Shaman, just finishing off the Doom there.
A healing hand.
So many Aghanim's up on the Dire team. Ags on Chen, Ags on and the Crystal Maiden,
Dire's
Ags on the
top
Shadow
tower is
Shaman.
under attack.
An absolutely terrifying team of what really early to mid-game, not much carry potential, but they just knew when to push. Absolutely great timing from this team. Oh, Moonlight Shadow right under a sentry ward. Do they have
Dire's
dust to
top
follow this
tower
up? They
is under
do.
attack.
Mirana, she's going to leap to the high ground. She'll be just fine. Oh, but will Paradox. Here comes the shackles. Arrow cancel it. Mirana has just been absolutely on top, on the mark with every single one of these arrows this game, constantly cancelling the shackles. And Shadow Shaman actually going to go down to that Desolator. Oh, Omni Knight. The DJ Nora slowing down Timbersaw. Arrow comes out. Jim's going to dodge it though. Looks like he'll be alright. He's a little bit split up. Chen is around, but Hand of God's been used. Oh, nice net from DJ Meister. Clockwork hook just blocked by the Mirana. Really unfortunate. DJ Meister, is he going to get away? This is absolutely ludicrous. Timbersaw now coming from behind. This could be expensive for them if they're not careful. Whirling Death maybe going to come out on Paradox here. Oh, not now. Jim's silenced. Now he's cogged up. The Ghost as well. He's going to be dropping fast here. Ingy. Is this going to be a huge Crystal Maiden ult? It is. The Clockwork goes down. Oh, almost finishes off the Death Prophet. They need to kill her fast before these Ghosts come back. Her ult's halfway done. They need Jim. He's walking through the Ghost. He needs a Timber Chain to connect. It does. Can he get the Chakra out in time, though? He's still walking through this Ghost, and now Doom is coming in. This could be the end of Timbersaw here. He is going to go down, I think. Hand of God just keeping him alive, but not quite enough. So they lose the Mirana and the Clockwork there. It looked like overextension, but in the end they do get the Timbersaw and the Crystal Maiden. Timbersaw with the Bloodstone allowing him to respawn in what seemed like about 10 seconds, but nevertheless, these kill streaks have been going the way of the Radiant, and you can see there's been a bit of a tick upwards from 7,500. The Dire still with a comfortable lead at 5,000 gold, 7,500, 8,000 experience, and a Skadi from the Doom, really? I like the plate mail. He could do with some armor, and the AC's nice, but I'm not really sure if this is what they wanted. I can think of a lot more that would have maybe made more of an impact. I think maybe the ultimate orbs were panic buys, and he wanted to make something of it. I'm not sure. Doom definitely doing a lot of damage in these team fights when he's present, but bit of an odd one coming out. Even a Radiance I might have favoured, given the way that he's been playing with this kind of weird split push Shadowblade Doom. And as you can see, the Dire immediately rotating to try and get him. No wards up for either team anywhere on the map right now, apart from a few sentry wards, so no attempt at Roshan made, no knowledge of these runes, and no visibility of these rotations either, so these supports, I don't know, you give them a Midas and suddenly they stop buying wards, I don't know. I'm only kidding, of course. Paradox, he's got his mech up now, so a Mystic Staff building towards a Hex. That could be quite big in taking down someone like the Timbersaw, and the Dire don't want to let this run out for too much longer. They've got an advantage now, but they need to push it. They've got great team fight. They've kept heroes like the Clockwork and the Death Prophet down, but Death Prophet's sitting on 2.4k gold with a Vitality booster. That's going to be close towards a Bloodstone.
Radiant's top tower
Clockwork,
is
he's got his 4-staff up now, so these pushes need to come fast. Mirana now has 2.6k gold. She's got a Deso up, and her next big item is still a little bit away, but it's coming. And the one weakness of this team, not so much their late game presence, but their weakness to BKBs. That's the real problem here. And Doom definitely benefits from a BKB. Mirana would in this game as well. And on top of that, they've got the repel from Omni Knight, so this is going to be a problem if they wait much longer. Omni Knight ult comes out, a little bit premature. A Cogs onto 2 with the Ghost as well. They're dropping fast, but the mech, it's come out as well. A huge ult from Ingy. It instantly nukes down the Death Prophet. Looks like Omni Knight's going to go down as well. Ingy does pay for it with his life. Instant buyback from the Death Prophet. Jim, huge Timbersaw coming in, whirling deathing people. Paradox is just about going to survive thanks to the repel. Doom buys back as well. Very expensive team fight for the Radiant, with the Dire just losing Crystal Maiden. Just the magic damage coming out of these ults is incredible, and Timbersaw finishing Boots of Travel on top of this. Looks like making his way towards a BKB, so Jim making all the right decisions to keep himself relevant for that late game, and a split pushing Timbersaw at this point is really going to have a massive impact on this game, because with the bot lane already being pushed out by mega creeps, if they keep this pressure up, the Dire's going to find it hard to farm, and then they're going to find it hard to contest things like Roshan. And Roshan right now on a hero like Timbersaw, or maybe even Necrolite, would really make for some scary late game. I like the fact that the Ags are out on all of these heroes. I feel like I'm hoping that they're going to start looking towards some more late game items, some more lockdown. They've got a Mystic Staff on the Chen now, so that's going to help as well. Oh, missing a teamfighter mid here. Looks like the hook shot went in with the Clockwork, but didn't really get what they wanted. They are chasing Jim though. The Desolator doing quite a lot of work here. Doom's going to get 4-staffed in, a couple of right clicks, and that crit aura finishes him off. So an okay team fight, finishing off the Timbersaws just fine. That Bloodstone means he's not going to be out of action for very long though, and I imagine he will start pushing up that top lane with the Boots of Travels when we get back. So the Dire back to farming for now. If we take a look at the net worth, Doom way out in front. The greedy farming approach he took, it may have cost his team a lot of fights, but he has ended up with a lot of farm and a lot of items. It'll remain to see whether that's actually going to save them though. Mirana, the only other Radiant hero really up there. She's got a Chrysalis now, which will mean that she attacks a bit harder, but without an Assault Cuirass, she is really fragile, and it doesn't look like Doom's going to be finishing anytime soon. But look at this Clockwork and this Death Prophet. Half the net worth of the next ones above them, and really struggling to have an impact here. Death Prophet barely able to get her ult off before she's just nuked down now. So we'll have to see whether they can defend the high ground. They are beginning to get a little bit scary with their carries. Oh, Jim eats an arrow to the face, but he'll just shake it off. And they're going to get ready to defend this high ground. Already, oh, they popped the Moonlight Shadow. Are they thinking about going out? What was that for? That was a bit of a weird one from Mirana there. We seem to be... oh no, they are all 5 here. I thought we were missing one of their heroes, but apparently not. They throw out an arrow to try and scout things out, but looks like the Dire are a bit indecisive here. Not sure whether they want to push a lane or not. Maybe they're trying to bait out the Mirana. She's come out a little bit too far here. Chakram out. Frostbite, but she does manage to get the leap before the Frostbite connects. And now Ingi's right click damage not quite enough. The Crystal Maiden not quite tanky enough to finish off. Death Prophet is forced to pop the ghosts. Mirana just limping back, but they drop the wards, which is unfortunate. Not going to be able to use it to take down a tower now, but the same could be said for the Death Prophet. So the two big pushing ults have been used. No deaths yet, but very nearly got the Mirana there. Nice bait from the Dire team. Still no attempt at Roshan though, which is interesting, especially when you've got this kind of a lane advantage here. Forcing the Radiant to constantly push back this bot lane against the mega creeps. Oh, but meanwhile, Doom, it's come out on the Chen, but now he's hexed up, shackled up, whirling death, everything pouring on him. He's so tanky though. Huge amount of armor. Oh, but the side, that's going to do a lot of damage. Jim puts the cherry on top there. The giant whirling mechanical cherry, and Clockwork forced to retreat. And with Doom down, and Doom's ultimate used, this is absolutely the time to break another lane of Rax. T3 dropping, they don't have creep support yet, but it's just coming and they don't even need it. Clockwork hook does come in, it catches out Timbersaw again, not the target you want. Jim's just going to ignore these cogs and keep right clicking the tower. The creeps here as well, Necrolite keeping them alive. They have popped the mech, but it's going to be up again in a minute. Mirana, very dangerous positioning from her, shackled up and brought down by the Timbersaw. Silence comes out way too late to save her. Hand of God up again in a few seconds. This Ag's just really making Chen such a dangerous hero. Mech popped as well. Necrolite constantly spamming out the heals. This is a push strat that has absolutely peaked, and these lanes are melting. Doom still out of commission for another 30 seconds. I think his buyback's on cooldown for another minute, so there's no way he's coming back. And they're probably going to take the final lane of Rax here. Or do they just push for the throne? No, they're going to secure it. Make sure they take out that T3, they drop the wards. And the Radiant don't even want to contest this. Hookshot is up, but who do you go in on? Shadow Shaman's already used his ult, so he's done the damage. Chen hanging back here, great positioning from John. And Timbersaw, just not a hook target. the well played comes out. Mega
Radiant's
creeps now
top barracks has
for
fallen.
the Dire.
The Dire now have mega creeps.
And just
Then
a tale of two drafts here. Oh, the Ghost, a lot of hate coming out for Shadow Shaman. Ingi tries to save him, just manages to. The hand of God a bit too late there. Shadow Shaman will drop, Necrolite will drop, Timbersaw maybe going to drop too. They've popped all of their ults to get this. Silence comes out as well. He's almost dead, but not quite. Oh my goodness, he's still alive. Whirling death on Clockwork. Turns around, he's going to get the kill. Timberchain out of the cogs. Amazing play from Jim. Absolutely beautiful Timbersaw. Will he get the TP out? They don't know he's there. Oh my goodness. Arrow was on cooldown, so they wouldn't have been able to stun him. But my goodness, some absolutely glorious Timbersaw work from there, from Jim. And Mega creeps up. It's all but over for the Radiant now. Hex out on Chen. Lincoln's up. I actually missed who completed the Lincoln's there. Timbersaw, so the unkillable becomes even more unkillable. One more death push down mid for the Radiant by the looks of it. Like I say, a tale of two drafts. Both teams wanting to push, maybe at different stages in the game. The more farm-oriented push lineup from the Radiant just not paying off, mostly due to their slightly selfish 4 Protect 1, and it doesn't feel like it was an intentional 4 Protect 1. This was a very greedy Doom. He cost them too many early team fights. They made some really poor tower trades and engaged in team fights that they couldn't really win. And ultimately, even when they began to pick up some items, it was just too late. But I have to say, this was not just a question of farmed heroes beating under-farmed heroes. There have been some absolutely beautiful plays. Excellent work from the Chen, keeping everyone alive. And the same goes for the Necrophos as well. Just look at this Death Bucket melt.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Necrophos and Chen really doing great work, keeping the team alive, keeping the lanes pushed. Once around the 15-minute mark where they started pushing towers, oh, nice attempt by Miranda there for an arrow. Once they started to decide pushing towers, the team just started synergizing so well. The Shadow Shaman and the Crystal Maiden throwing out disables left, right and centre stage, Jim on the Timbersaw, putting out the damage, tanking the damage, and just a really beautiful game of Dota from the Sekrit boys. Paradox, I think a bit dejected there, some very sad all chat. Like the hook into cogs and then 4-star back home from Clockwork. That's going to be the Ancient Falling. Really nice game to watch, that one. Excellent play from both teams, I feel. Just some really unfortunate laning, I guess. But thank you very much for watching. I'm going to pop this up on YouTube later on. You can catch us on Twitch, normally twitch.tv/thatsdota. And we are on YouTube as well, youtube.com/user/thatsdota as well. So thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you at another cast.